as Mennonites, they're pacifists and therefore enemies of both sides of the war.
Yeah.
And so they had to leave and come to Canada. And she had to leave her grandmother behind.
Wow.
So but her grandmother gave her this bear paw quilt top that had all of these amazing, meaningful fabrics from her family history. Her grandmother's wedding dress, her mother's mother and aunt's Sunday dresses, tablecloths, things like that, things that you find around the house. And so she got to bring this quilt top with her to Canada. And the family and community that was already there in Waterloo County rallied around her to help her finish this quilt, and she would have it for her bed in her new home. So this is an incredibly beautiful story, inspiring, and I was like, this quilt needs to be a bear paw quilt.
Yeah.
And so that's what I proposed, that visitors would, using fusible applique so that they weren't bogged down with having to learn how to sew.
Yeah.
They would be telling their story, their family story, whether it was a 10-year-old immigration story or a 300-year-old immigration story. They would be telling that story through a block. And then I assembled, there was evolutions of the project.
Yeah, I'm there. I'm looking at it. It's really cool. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, your stuff is so cool. You're like, oh my gosh. Okay, so you got the bear paw. It's all these really bright colors, and you put these weird stripy things in it. You just, like, your design. So this is the thing. Having a design background, like, it's like acting. So I used to work in LA as an actor because I looked really young, and there's a whole other story you don't even know. I was like, looked like I was 12 when I was 19, so I worked a lot when I was in college. But everyone always thought, like, acting, anyone can act, right? Anyone can quilt. Mm. Yeah, we all can quilt. We totally can. But we can't, like, quilt. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a difference, right? Like, like, the artistry is, like, incredible. And this stuff is so cool. Oh, my gosh. It's so cool. So you took the blocks that people made.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of looks like, Jen Kingswell has a gypsy wife quilt for those listening.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's got kind of that, like, you haven't put them together in like block, but you put these incredibly, it's so pretty. Okay, I'm sorry. See, I told you it's not hard-hitting journalist. It's just like, okay, you have to go see it. So this is if you're looking, if you go to the Canadian Museum of Immigration, just put that in. And Andrea was an artist in residence in 2017, and it's got a ton of pictures there of the quilt and you doing stuff with the quilt. Oh, it's so cool. Okay, so how many people participated in this project?
So in the end, I had 1,197 blocks. So I just say 1,200. And halfway through the process, we moved away from bear paws and then moved to a smaller, just a triangle on top of a 2.5 by 2.5 inch square. And they would have to condense or just pick an aspect of their story.
Oh, that's so cool. Right, because you can see the triangles, right? You see the bear paws, and then you see the little triangles.
Yeah. And what it ended up looking like was a forest. So I was taking notes about all of these stories. So I have a notebook just with not deep research. It wasn't, but just notes of what they told me about their block and their family story.
Oh
and all of these themes emerged. So people talked about, because of where we were geographically, they're talking about oceanic journeys across the Atlantic. A lot of people talked about farming, agriculture. So a lot of Russian and Ukrainian immigrants were given plots of land in the prairies, and they were told to farm. A lot of people talked about love stories. So war brides, students meeting in Canada, falling in love and staying here. People talked about their own specific cultures. People talked about, especially newer immigrants, talked about new opportunities and a better life. A lot of them come here for education. So there was a section. So these stripes ended up organizing these themes. So, there's obviously, it's a loose, it doesn't look categorical, but it is an infographic of sorts where around these colored broad stripes, there are the stories that kind of are speaking about that topic.
Now, it's so incredible. That's so incredible. Do you know Sarah Trail? She does a social justice Sewing Academy?
Yes, I
There's
do.
like a bunch of you doing really cool stuff with community. Do you all get together? You have to all get together.
You know what? It's funny because she actually, we're the same alumni. we're from the same school.
Really?
Yeah, we both went to the Harvard Graduate School of Education.
Oh, that's so funny. What's Harvard? They're like making like quilt conscious people.
I don't know. I think a lot, because it's the ed school, we're very conscious of our social, where we sit in the social, in society.
Yeah.
So, I forget which branch she was in. I was in arts and education.
Yeah.
But she was from, I think it's probably something in the social justice area.
Oh my gosh. You guys, you guys, there's such I'm sure there's other out there, but you two are like, that's amazing. So tell me a little bit about what they were doing, because I can't easily. Are they writing on? What are they? Oh crap!
They're taking pre-cut pieces of fabric that have already fusible on the back. So there was prescriptive parts. There were like triangles that they could choose from.
Yeah.
And then a background square they could choose. So I had to set these parameters so that it had a cohesive.
Right, totally. And so they would do it, and would they iron it on? Would they be doing the ironing? And then how did you hear their stories? Did they have like a thing they filled out for their story?
So I was there on site for 2 days a week, and that's when the work would happen. I would personally talk to each person and then write a note about number their block and write a note about it.
Wow, that's
so
a lot of work.
I got to talk to a lot of people.
You did?
Yeah.
So are you going to do a book, or what are you going to do with all this knowledge?
Well, this is, so far the opportunities have been that I am going to be speaking about this quilt at various guilds in Canada in the next year. It ended up winning first place at QuiltCon in the B category.
In the what category?
In the group and B category.
It did?
Yeah.
You are so rocking. That's so cool. That's like a big deal. That's a huge deal.
It was unexpected.
Winner. Oh my gosh.
And this is actually a little bit, we can talk about copyright here, was that, are these individual people, they're my collaborators, I can't contact them.
But so what role do they play? This is really interesting. These are issues that we are thinking about. This Sarah's got the same questions, right? I think what's happening is, this is kind of weird, but I think that like quilting, we have to learn more about this. But my gut instinct is there's a kind of donation of their creative, like an implicit donation. Now, would it hold up in copyright? Probably not. But it seems like, quilting bees, where you donate a block, or you do something like this, or you're part of something like the kids in Sarah's program where they're making, something and then they're leaving it there. I think there's a sense of an implicit donation or implied license to use it. Right? They may still hold the copyright in it officially, but you have the right to use it. I mean, I think that's what's happening. It's got to be what's happening.
Right?
And
I don't think a single person in that who those 1,200 people would care, right? They would be like, "You're the artist. We just did what you told us to do."
Right, and I think and so that's the other thing, is that because you had such control, I don't think they become an artist. Like, I don't think.
Okay.
I think you are the artist, and they just were like helpers, right?
Yeah. So, for example, I forget the artist's name that does the immaculate, like these glass pieces, but they have studio assistants.
That's right.
Right. So
that's right. All of them do. Right. All of them. Greg, Jeff Koons does, and all of them do. Yeah.
And those people don't get attributed for the work; they get paid for their work. But
exactly.
They're not the artist.
And I think with Sarah's stuff, which is like juveniles sort of expressing terrible things that have happened in their life, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I think they do hold the copyright in that image, right? They have you can see how it's different, right? They create a picture of someone being shot in their family or something like that. Or whatever theme it is, right? And Trump. They do a lot of like, we hate Trump stuff, which totally, I get it. They hold that copyright, I think. But I think by doing it and giving it to Sarah, there's an implied license that she can use it. Right. And that way, could they come back later and say, I don't want mine in the quilt? Maybe, but that's kind of what they knew what was going to happen, right? They knew they were making it to be putting it in a quilt. So I think there's kind of an estoppel kind of, she's relying on the fact that they come in, make it, and they're donating it to her. So, they still may hold the copyright in it because it's their, you know what I'm saying? Like if they are like, later they're like, oh, I'm a famous artist and I want to do that, make that thing that I did again, or I want to reproduce it, or I want to make another version of it. I think they can do that. I think they can make on their own version of that stuff. But Sarah holds an implied license to use it in whatever way she wants by the mere act of what they're doing. I think that would be my guess off the top of my head. But does that make sense? Yours is different. You see the difference between the two? Like whoever it's this thing of, it's like, who controls it, right? Who's controlling the artistic expression and the materials and, the choice of stuff, and you're controlling it and she's not controlling it.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So is there timely things happening in your life? Because we're going to post this on Monday and we've got 10 minutes and you have to come back because we did not get to our list. All right. So I hear you have a crowdfunding campaign going on.
Yes, I do. And it's terrifying, but wonderful at the same time.
Okay,
I'm really proud about this project. I have collaborated with a songwriter.
Oh, yeah, this is the song thing. Tell us about the song thing. Okay. So we're not about like advertising stuff or whatever because we're a law school and whatever. But tell us, instead of the crowdfunding part of it, tell me about the song, because then if people want to go see your stuff or give you money, that's great. But we're not advertising it because we are not allowed to advertise in any way, right? We're just about like telling people about stuff. So tell me about your song thing.
Okay, so Megan Smith is a songwriter, a local songwriter. She has won national awards for her work, and she writes commissioned songs. So now she's no longer with a record label. She is an independent, like completely independent artist, and she writes commissioned songs. So just as you a person that commissioned a painting,
right? You're commissioning a song.
Yeah, you commissioned her to write a song. So she has written a beautiful, meaningful songs in the last year and a half about babies, for weddings, for anniversaries, for and for losses to commemorate people. One really hard one that she wrote in the last year was a father who wanted to honor his daughter who had went through this terrifying experience of being abducted and was found, and she testified against her oppressor really and in court, and is this hero. She's a hero every day.
All right. And so you're raising money. Let me talk about the Indiegogo part. So did she write a song for you?
Yes. So I commissioned her to write a song about community. And it was actually about the quilting community. So when I joined a guild, I realized the community of people, cool, right? How important it is for your work and for your life to have passions, but also do that, like carry out that passion in a community.
Right.
Those people motivate you. They lift you up when you're like, what am I doing? I just going to throw this quilt out the window, or like, even if your life is like that, they're there to lift you up and encourage you. And these are the types of people that I've found.
Now, let me ask you, because we're going to run out of time. We've got 2 minutes left. So,
oh no,
I know, but it's okay because you're going to do a part 2. And just sign up and we'll do part 2. But I'll get this out on Monday. So at Indiegogo, so tell me about Indiegogo. So because we're learning about crowdsource funding, and this is a website. So you put up a different. People can go there if they want to take a look at it. It's Indiegogo, and it's Our Song, Your Reflection, Love Community. So like Our Song, Your Reflection, Indiegogo, and Indiegogo is INDIEGOGO, and then you have different packets, just like Kickstarter.
Yep.
But what happens in terms of, let me ask you the logistics of it. So you can do a fabric kit, so cool. And so cool, you painted it. That's so cool. It's this really cool swan thing. And then by doing that, you're raising money for the song and then also like the work that you do. So it's got this really nice kind of, your work is right, your work is featured, but also you get money for the song, and then you have things like the retreat teaching package and a reflection quilt. Whoa, it's really expensive. And then really inexpensive ones, like you just want the song. How much does Indiegogo take of that comes in? I'm really curious. Like, how is that?
It ends up being about 10%. So this includes their fee, plus a processing fee for each transaction.
Interesting.
As well as there's a percentage fee for processing. Yeah, it ends up being about 10%. And this is quite, it's broadly across all crowdsourcing platforms, it's about 10%. So with Kickstarter, Indiegogo, Patreon, it's all about 10%.
Right. Patreon's an interesting one too, because people are using it for podcasts to have people when when you listen to podcasts, you donate money by listening, kind of thing, right? That's like a thing. Interesting. And is yours that you have to get to flexible goal? So you don't have to get to your goal is 20,000, but a flexible goal means that you get as much as like